The negative suggestions go on in every home, office, factory, and club. You will find that many of these negative suggestions are for the purpose of making you think, feel, and act as others want you to, and in ways that are to their advantage. That's negative programming of your deeper mind. Now, there is a right way to program your subconscious mind. Every morning of your life, you can sit steady, quiet, get relaxed, and affirm as follows. Divine law and order governs my life. Divine right action reigns supreme. Divine success is mine. Divine harmony is mine. Divine peace fills my soul. Divine love saturates my whole being. Divine abundance is mine. Divine love goes before me today and every day, making straight, joyous, and glorious my way.
We the professionals, son. We professionals at what we do. Like, cut it out, son.
That I see that we are being programmed to be poor is because of our beliefs. And there are two ways that this can happen for the most part. For some of us, it was because we were surrounded by specific people, perhaps parents that were arguing about finances. For others, it was hearing family members speak poorly about anyone that did have money. And for some, it was growing up in communities that were struggling, their family was struggling, or they were living in poor neighborhoods. Most people that grow up in an environment like this are programmed from birth to have a negative connotation when it comes to finances and anyone that has finances. Biologist Dr. Bruce Lipton talks heavily about the situation that children were brought up in, the environment that they had when it came to money and how that shapes your future. So if you've been brought up from a young age to believe that money is evil, money makes people evil, money causes problems, money is hard to come by, chances are you have that programming in your subconscious.
Subscribe to the Unconquered Tribe. You are now live with an incredible host.
Wow,
This is House School for the Gifted and the Elect.
and it's known, it's written, that the righteous shall inherit the kingdom of God, the earth, and the wicked shall be shaken out.
Find the true answers, it will trouble you because it goes against most of what you've been taught. And when the truth of it sets in, it will marvel you. And then you will know your power, that you have supreme reign over your life and everything in it, that you truly can experience heaven on earth. The Gospel of Thomas has been eliminated from the Bible, and there are many explanations as to the reasoning. Some religious leaders express that if you read it and compare it to what you see in the New Testament, it's a very different kind of book, presenting a quite different Jesus. They claim that these particular teachings about Jesus mesh with certain philosophical principles that only grew in popularity, but that they aren't necessary to the work of the Bible.
How many have heard of the lost Gospel of Thomas? The lost Gospel of Thomas. Some of you have heard of that text. Very, very powerful text. The lost Gospel of Thomas is powerful because it is believed to be the actual words of Jesus as he was teaching those around him how to use the power of human emotion in his life. And if the indigenous people know it, and if the ancient people know it, why don't we know it? What happened to our knowledge? Well, this is a very good question. And the answer is this. In our Western tradition, and when I say Western, I'm assuming that we are of the Judeo-Christian tradition, is what I'm talking about here. There was a time when this field and the language of emotion was part of our tradition. It was in our texts until the 4th century, the year 325 AD. In the year 325, something happened. Our texts were edited, and we lost tremendous amounts of information. The Emperor Constantine in the early Christian church, with the early Christian Bible, had to make decisions. What information do we include? What information do we exclude? And what we know now is that at least 45 books were either completely taken away or tremendously edited into what we call today our Western biblical tradition. And when those edits were made, we lost the information that tells us everything is connected. We lost the information that tells us the language that speaks to this field. We know the information was lost because we are now recovering the information in the Dead Sea Scrolls, in the Nag Hammadi Library, in the Coptic texts. This is how we know this information was lost.
The failure self-identity must die that the person might succeed. The sad self-identity must die that the person might live happily. Now, what of some of these negative self-identities which must die in order that we might live? I just named some of them after a certain fashion. Some people have, for example, a sick self-identity. And the sick self-identity must die that we might live in health. And to give you an example of a person with a sick self-identity, I point out to you again the man at the pool who waited for the troubling of the water that he might get into it and be healed. I just love to use him for an example, and quite often I do. You remember the Bible tells us that there was a pool of water in Jerusalem by the temple where the sick and the maimed and the halt would congregate, because at a certain season an angel would come down from heaven and trouble the water, and whoever stepped in first after the water was troubled, or blessed by the angel, would be healed. And there was a man lying by this pool waiting for the troubling of the water. But before the water was troubled or blessed, Jesus came by. And Jesus said to this man, "Do you want to be made whole? Do you want to be well?" And you notice that right away the man didn't even say, "Yes, I would like to be healed. Yes, I would like to be well." But the first thing that he said when he opened his mouth was, "Well, you know, I've been here 38 years sick." That's a dead giveaway. That man had what? A sick self-identity. Can you imagine this? Here is Jesus himself walking down the pool saying to him, "Do you want to be healed? Do you want to be well?" As a matter of fact, he was rather comfortable in his sickness. He was rather smug and snug in his sick self-identity. And he had given himself over to such a chronic case of sick self-identity that the idea of being well, being whole, being healed didn't even faze him. He'd rather make an excuse and stay sick.
All right, one at a time, y'all. We got the Incredible Hulk in the building. What's up, man? Oh, shit.
It's a scientific fact that the hormones of stress downregulate genes and create disease, long-term effects. Human beings, because of the size of the neocortex, we can turn on the stress response just by thought alone. We can think about our problems and turn on those chemicals. That means then our thoughts could make us sick. So if it's possible that our thoughts could make us sick, is it possible then our thoughts could make us well? The answer is absolutely yes.
And it's known, it's written, that the righteous shall inherit the kingdom of God, the earth, and the wicked shall be shaken out. Peace to the tribes, peace to the tribes. You know the vibes. It is I, the inevitable, the incredible Hawk, and this is Hawk School for the gifted and the elect, and we're broadcasting live from the emphatically immaculate Republic of Atlantis. Let's go. We won't be stopping the music. We're gonna let the music play, right? So roll up, pull up, do whatever you do, you know what I'm talking about? Cause it's gonna be one of them ones. Okay, stop the music, stop the music. Now, when I first started doing this YouTube thing and building on panels, you know, debating, if you will, I had no idea that there were so many dark beings amongst us who wanted to do nothing but cause chaos and confusion and keep us in an utter state of loss, if you will. So I decided in the third installment of this series on Aboriginal American Wealth that we will deal with the mind. We discovered in our first video, we discovered where the money was, right? In the previous video, we discovered where the land was. Well, now that we're getting the money back, the land back, well, we have to do it in a proper order. And I believe the proper order is mind, money, and land. I said mind, money, and land. We got to get our mind back, we got to get our money back, and we got to get our land back. And what we're going to realize is that mind is first. And it's very interesting to me because this, as most of my content, is the product of something much greater than myself. So I find it very interesting to me as I reflect on this series that the last in the series is actually the first in the series. All right. So if you're tired of seeing agents all in the video dancing, come on over to Hawk School. And we about to get into this high power shit. You know what I'm talking about? Straight up.
And you're going to find out that my sermons are not like the usual sermons. I don't just stand up here and preach nice little sermons. I'm going to involve you in this sermon. I'm going to have you help me preach this sermon. So the first thing that I'm going to do to involve you in this sermon is to have you convert my subject to the first person and have you say with me, I can have it. And I want you to point to yourself as you say this. Together, everybody. I can have it.
Good evening. I want you to turn to the person next to you. I want you to look him in the eye and introduce yourself as a genius. Let's begin. Now, geniuses, so happy to be with you this evening. I have a few questions for you before we begin. How many people in this audience actually believe in the idea that the way you think has some effect on your life? That your thoughts create your life? You believe that, yes?
Wait, stop the video, stop
So how
the
many
video.
people here?
Put a 1 in the chat if you believe that, all right? Put a 1 in the chat if you believe that. Type I am rich in the chat if you believe that. You know what I'm talking about? See, you have to prepare your mind to be in a certain place in order to win. You know what I'm talking about?
All right, one at a time, y'all. We got the Incredible Hawk in the building. What's up, man?
Oh, shit.
And it's a lot of people who wanted to keep you in a mental place to lose, right? So I want you to type in the chat if you can hear me loudly and clearly. I mean, stop the music. I don't think they hear me. If you hear me, type "I am a genius" in the chat. If you're new here, this is what we do here. I am the inevitable, the incredible Hawk, and this is Hawk School for the Gifted and the Elect, and we are broadcasting live from the emphatically immaculate Republic of Atlantis. Let's go.
You are now live with the incredible Hawk. This is Hawk School for the Gifted and the Elect.
And it's known, it's written, that the righteous shall inherit the kingdom of God, the earth. And the wicked shall be shaken out.
We the professionals, son. We professionals at what we do. Like, cut it out, son.
See, the difference between my brand and your brand, it doesn't matter what platform I'm on. I mean something.
You actually woke up this morning and consciously created a future. And consciously created a future. That the way you think has some effect on your life. That your thoughts create your life. You believe that, yes? So how many people here actually woke up this morning and consciously created a future? You know, the biggest reason why people don't do it is because you don't really believe it's true. You see, if you knew on a gut level that it was absolutely true, would you ever miss a day? Come on. And would you ever let any thought slip by your awareness that you didn't want to experience? So your brain, according to neuroscience, is organized to reflect everything you know in your life. Your brain is a record of your environment. It's a record, an artifact of your past. So if you believe this, then does your environment control your thinking? Or does your thinking control your environment? So if you wake up in the morning and you get out of bed on the same exact side as you did the day before, you shut the alarm clock off with the same finger, you slip into your favorite slippers, you shuffle into the bathroom and you use the toilet like you always do, then you walk over to the mirror and you look at yourself to remember who you are. Then you get into the shower and you wash yourself in the same routine way. Then you groom yourself to look like everybody expects you to look. Then you go downstairs and you drink coffee out of your favorite mug. Then you drive to work the same way as you did the day before. You see the same people that push the same emotional buttons. You do the exact thing that you know how to do and you memorize and can do so well that you're an expert at. Then you hurry up and rush home so you can hurry up and check your emails, so you could hurry up and go to bed, so you can hurry up and do it all over again. Now, here's my question. Did your brain change at all that day? We could say that you were thinking the same thoughts, performing the same actions, that create the same experiences, that produce the same emotions, but secretly expecting something to change in your life. Would you agree? So then, as the environment turns on different circuits in your brain, you begin to think equal to your environment. As you see the same people and go to the same places and do the same things at the same time, it's the external environment that's turning on different circuits in your brain, causing you to think equal to everything that you know. And as long as you think equal to everything that's familiar or known to you, what do you keep creating more of? Same life. Now, the quantum law is still applying to you. You're just thinking equal to everything that you know, and you keep creating more of the same. To truly change is to think greater than your environment. And every great person in history knew this. Whether it was William Wallace or Mahatma Gandhi or Martin Luther King or Queen Elizabeth I or Joan of Arc, they all had a vision. They all had an idea. Couldn't see it, couldn't smell it, couldn't taste it, couldn't feel it, but it was alive in their mind. It was so alive in their mind that they began to live as if that reality was actually happening now. So can you believe in a future that you can't see or experience with your senses yet, but you've thought about enough times in your mind that your brain is literally changed to look like the event has already happened? Neuroscience says it's absolutely possible. Now,
Let's stop for a moment. Stop the music. Neuroscience says it's possible.
Subscribe to the Unconquered Tribe. You are now live with the incredible host.
Wow,
This is Talk School for the Gifted and the Elect.
Now, I don't mean to interrupt, but we will be sharing a book with you. I don't know if you're familiar with it. All right, I read it some time ago. The Richest Man in Babylon. All right, we're gonna have that in the membership link so that you can get that book. All right, Richest Man in Babylon. Yeah, let's give the members a round of applause. Can we get the members a round of applause up here, please? What the hell's going on? Let's go.
Talk School for the Gifted and the Elect.
Because, you know, as much as I love history, you know, it's pretty much to the point with these guys that we beat them up. No Diddy, all right? We beat them up so extensively on every topic that we don't really have anything else to prove, right?
Subscribe to the Unconquered Tribe. You are now live with the incredible host.
Wow,
This is Talk School for the Gifted and the Elect.
We really don't have anything else to prove, right? And especially in big Indian country, all right? I mean, just the last 3 videos, the last 3 live streams that we've built on. Like I said, we've discovered the land and the money, the lost land, the lost money, and now we have to deal with the lost mind.
And it's known as written that the righteous shall inherit the kingdom of God, the earth, and the wicked shall be shaken out.
Now, if you're not familiar with this book, all right, I'll just read the back cover so you can get an idea of what it's about, all right? And I believe it's written in like the 1920s. It's not like based on true history. It's quote-unquote parables and whatnot. But I do remember reading it when I was in my early 20s, and I remember the impact it had on my thinking. So that's why I'm going to be sharing the link to this in the membership section so that you can have a copy, and it's no pressure. But like I said, I'll just read the back to give you an idea of what it's about. Beloved by millions, this timeless classic holds the key to all you desire and everything you wish to accomplish. This is a book that reveals the secret to personal wealth, the success secrets of the ancients, an assured road to happiness and prosperity. Countless readers have been helped by the famous quote-unquote Babylonian parables, hailed as the greatest of all inspirational works on the subject of thrift, financial planning, and personal wealth. In language as simple as that found in the Bible, these fascinating, informative stories set you on a sure path to prosperity and its accompanying joys. Acclaimed as a modern-day classic, this celebrated bestseller offers an understanding of and a solution to your personal financial problems that will guide you through a lifetime. This is a book that holds the secrets to acquiring money, keeping money, and making money earn more money. The Richest Man in Babylon. Read it and recommend it to loved ones and get on the road to riches.
personality creates your personal reality. That's it. It's that simple. And your personality is made up of how you think, how you act, and how you feel. So the present personality who's sitting here today, you, has created the present personal reality called your life. Would you agree? Would you also agree then, if you wanted to create a new personal reality, that on a fundamental level you would have to change the thoughts that you are thinking, the behaviors and habits that you're demonstrating, and the emotions that you've memorized that's become part of your identity? And most people try to create a new personal reality as the same personality, and it never works. We have to become somebody else. So then, as you keep thinking the same thoughts, performing the same actions, and living by the same experiences that produce the same emotions, there's a principle in neuroscience that says nerve cells that fire together wire together. And if you keep repeating the same states of mind and body over and over again, your brain begins to fire in the same sequences, in the same patterns and same combinations. And whenever you make your brain work in a certain way, that's called mind. Mind is the brain in action. So as you remind yourself every day who you think you are, you're causing your brain to fire in the exact same ways. And as they fire and wire in the same patterns over time, the brain moves into a very finite signature, and that's called your personality. Now, that box in your brain isn't literally a box, but it's the most commonly wired, neurologically fired programs that run redundantly because we keep doing the same things over and over again. To change your mind, then, is to make the brain work in new sequences and new patterns and new combinations, to begin to make the brain work differently. And the one ingredient that allows us to do that is knowledge or information. Because every time you learn something new, you make a new connection in your brain. That's what learning is. Learning is forging new connections. Remembering is maintaining or sustaining those connections. So now, every time you have a thought, you make a chemical. And if you have a great thought, or an unlimited thought, or a joyful thought, you turn on a set of circuits in your brain that fires in a very specific sequence, pattern, and combination, that produces a level of mind, that turns on another part of the brain that makes a chemical for you to begin to feel exactly the way you were just thinking, great or unlimited or joyful. Now, if you have a negative thought or an unhappy thought or a self-depreciating thought, you turn on a different set of circuits and a different combination, a different sequence, and a different pattern that produces a different level of mind. And the brain then begins to make a different batch of chemicals that signals the body for you to begin to feel exactly the way you were just thinking, negative or unhappy or unworthy. So the moment you begin to feel the way you think, because the brain is in constant communication with your body, you begin to think the way you feel, which makes more chemicals for you to feel the way you think, and then you think the way you feel, and then you feel the way you think, and then you think the way you feel. And some people do this for 20 or 30 or 40 years. Now, the redundancy of that cycle over time creates what I call a state of being. And a state of being is when your mind and body are working together, or your thoughts and feelings are aligned to a concept. So thoughts are the language of the brain, and feelings are the language of the body. And as people get caught in this cycle of thinking and feeling and feeling and thinking, over time, they condition their body to memorize that emotion as well as the conscious mind. And whenever the body knows as well as the mind, that's called a habit. A habit is when your body is the mind. Now, 95% of who you are by the time you're 35 years old is a set of memorized behaviors, a set of emotional reactions, beliefs, perceptions, attitudes that run just like a computer program. So 5% of your conscious mind begins to work against 95% of what you've memorized. So the person wants to think positively, but they're feeling negatively. They want to create their dream board, and put up their future life, but they feel unworthy. That's mind and body in opposition. We have to recondition the body to a new mind. So how many people here know someone who's memorized suffering? Doesn't have to be you, it could be anybody. And you say to that person, hey, did you read the book I gave you? What do they say? No. Did you see the DVD I gave you? Oh, no. Hey, listen, we're gonna go out to dinner, we're gonna go see some stand-up comedy, we're gonna go for a walk along the water, you wanna come? No. What are they saying? I'm insisting on this neurochemical order that no person, no thing, no experience can move us from it. And we have these three brains to allow us to move into a new state of being. And the quantum field, universal mind, whatever you want to call it, responds to who you're being. Not what you're thinking, not what you're feeling, but the combination of how you're thinking and how you're feeling, called a state of being. Now, most people wait for what? Crisis or trauma or disease or loss or diagnosis to really want to change. They wait to the point where the ego is brought to such a low level that they cannot go on business as usual any longer. That's when we begin to look at how we're thinking or what we believe or how we act or our attitude or what emotions we're living by. And my message is, why wait? We can learn and change in a state of pain and suffering, which tends to be the human model, or we can learn and change in a state of joy and inspiration. Now, you want to learn the hardest part about all of this? You ready? The hardest part of all of this, the hardest part of all of this is making the time to do it. That's it. That's it. Making time for your precious self.
So we must be able to flow back to source at all times, lest our mind become corrupted by becoming entirely overconscious of outward circumstances.
Anywhere you have a neuron that is linked to other neurons or to the spine or to nerve centers, that means that neuron can function. What is a neuron supposed to do? Generate and process thoughts, coming and going. You have a collection of neurons up and down your spine, and in certain pockets throughout the body, one of which is called the solar plexus. And just a little bit below it, above the spleen and above the navel, you will have a neuron center. That, I claim, is your animal brain location.
Now, we're going to let the music play because we turned, you know what I'm talking about?
All right, one at a time, y'all. We got the Incredible Hulk in the building. What's up, man?
But what you will notice is that he said your animal brain. And what these witches have done is they have inverted this science, right? So they're teaching you to raise your animal self, right? And replace your higher self with your animal self. Please do pay attention. Oh yeah, if you're new here, this is what we do here. I am the inevitable, the incredible Hawk, and this is Hawk School for the Gifted and the Elect, and we are broadcasting live from the emphatically immaculate Republic of Atlantis. Matter of fact, I've been thinking about switching that up and saying something fly like broadcasting live from the home of the free and the brave. I'm a cold-blooded Indian. I could never be a motherfucking slave. You know what I'm talking about?
Dom the Monko.
Below it, above the spleen and above the navel, you will have a neuron center. That, I claim, is your animal brain location. That is why in the Oriental philosophy, in the Yoruba philosophy, even amongst the ancient Zulus, concentration upon the solar plexus with energies coming in either from the moon or the sun will turn a person more like into an animal than before. You can act like an animal and still be human because you are an animal person.
Most of your ideas of survival, hunger, fear, fighting, come generated from that selection of neurons at the solar plexus. They do not come from that up here in the skull. In fact, you will find when you get really uptight, what does it say? My stomach got in knots, I couldn't talk, I just felt pain here and I was all uptight. That is your animal brain talking, taking over, to fight or flight, to fear or love, to hate or to detest. We are usually ruled by the animal body and animal brain, and therefore those sections of our neuron centers work better than the one up here. If ever the sons of God would awaken to the power of using the upper brain power, they will become so devastating, so frighteningly auspicious that everything on earth would tremble at the power of this latent god and giant now asleep.